Got the original release of the Thing video game didn't entirely work, but Nightdive Studio promises it will fulfill the original vision. O's and Kunk over VG 24/7. The Thing video game adaptation was an ambitious but flawed title, so Nightdive is hoping to help realize what it could have been. John Carpenter's The Thing was originally released back in 1982, but 20 years later, Computer Arts opted to make a sequel to the classic movie in video game form. It sold well at the time, and while reviews were generally favorable, it wasn't exactly perfect, but the whole concept of any of the teammates being able to potentially turn into a particular thing was an incredibly cool one. Earlier this month, Nightdive Studios announced that it's remastering The Thing, and in a recently interview with Games Radar, the developer spoke of his hopes for its work on the game. Computer Arts was really pretty happy, and justifiably so, with the game that they produced, but they were also aware of limitations, of things that could not do simply because of the technology. The game engine did not support it. Dude, that was a different time back then, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're reaching back 20 years now to think of the N64 version of that game, which I was unfortunately too young to come to grasp with.
Yeah, absolutely. This was based off of the business developer director Larry Cooperman, as he explained, quote, "And without going into too much detail, without providing any spoilers, there are some things that we were able to fulfill the original vision of the developers. That's something that's really important to us," end quote. Cooperman stopped short of explaining what those things were exactly, but did say that the game will, quote, "play the way you remember the original game playing," but that wasn't the way it actually played, end quote. That's a weird way of saying that. It was, yeah, right? It was also apparently quite important for both Cooperman and Nightdive as a whole that the spirit of the original game remained with the remaster, which led to break. Dude, are we doing a remaster or like a remake? I think that's my biggest question.
Well, it kind of seems, yeah, I think that weird bit of that quote, it kind of explains that they didn't hit what they meant to do the first time around. So you're going to stick to that original vision, somewhat of a remaster, I suppose, still.
Absolutely. There's currently no confirmed release date for the remaster of The Thing, but it is expected to release sometime in 2024. It will be available on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Scott, you played the original back in the day.
I did, yes. I was quite young, but the idea of it running on a Nintendo Switch and being a current modern remaster it gives me an idea of the limitations, but think about how close we almost got to having the Thing game when Among Us came out. It's almost the exact same concept. And at the time I thought, why isn't John Carpenter The Thing this version? But it seems like this is a single-player version of that.
Do you think there's an opportunity for them to test the waters here with the remasters and them bring their own interpretation of The Thing?
I think that's absolutely possible. Yeah, we've had the Thing was remastered as a movie, or a different version of The Thing came out. So I think there's enough of a basis there to have some real innovation on the idea.
So what was the premise of the game? I never played the original, Scott. It's basically like Among Us?
Oh, well, somewhat. I didn't really understand what I was doing at the time. We're talking 10 years old or younger.
Yeah.
But it essentially, I think it begins after the movie ends. So you're going and showing up there, and the results of that first John Carpenter's movie is what you discover, and that's a grim experience. And then from that, the Thing jumps onto one of you, I'm sure, and that becomes the Among Us concept, really.
Is there room for something like this, right? We've seen the Among Us. We've seen other adaptations of this style, like genre. Is there room for it? Another one?
Yeah, because this is single player, I think they're going to have to really lean into that and do some of the horror scenarios that just can't happen as a multiplayer game.
That's fair. How excited are you for it?
Oh, I'm very excited. In fact, I'm going to go dig out my Blu-ray version of the movie.
You can go back and watch the classic.
That's happening today.
There you go. But we don't know when it is coming, but it is apparently coming out this year. So keep your eyes on that. Keep your eyes on ITGTV.com for all things, well, The Thing.